Hello, everybody, and welcome to TK Talks. My name is Todd Keirstead, and these are stories of inspiration, both on and off the golf course. I have a really good friend of mine named Kenny Wittmann. Kenny, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Todd. How are you?
Doing really, really well. So, Kenny, why don't we talk to me about a little bit about you, man, who you are as a person, and let's talk a little bit about your life.
Yeah, so I was born with cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia, which is spasticity in the muscles. So as I grew into an adult, the muscles don't grow with that. So um, it's kind of it was really tough growing up. As a child, I was just like any kid. You're born, you want to just grow into life, you want to find out where you fit in. And I was very grateful enough that I was put into sport at the age of 6. I started playing hockey, goalie on my knees, and the refs would would put me on a chair and they would skate me into my crease, and I would just be, I'd be that butterfly goalie for 45 minutes of hockey. And so that was the first part there. And then I got into the other seasons. In the summer I would play lacrosse. That was a huge piece for me. Um, yeah, so I was pretty much I was a shoe fits all standard type person growing up. I the message was very clear as a young kid. I wasn't gonna let a disability stop me from just living my everyday life. I didn't really, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really know what a disability was as a young kid. I had, I knew I had all these things to do, therapy appointments and stuff, but I didn't truly know what cerebral palsy was. That was something that came later on.
So at what age, you said that the muscles started to stop growing and not keeping up to your growth. When did you really start to see a difference in your body? You said you were playing sports at 6. What was the time frame of that when things you started to really see a difference between yourself and maybe your best friend?
Yeah, what really ended up happening, I think I was 12 years old, and I really started experiencing pains in the hamstring area and the hips. So what I ended up doing was, because like I mentioned, I was going to a lot of physiotherapy appointments. So I would, they would do the measurements, and they would ask me, from 1 to 10, how's the pain, and the pain was getting worse. So what ended up happening was they said, okay, well, you know what? It looks like we're gonna have to do a surgery for you to remain walking for the rest of your life. You're
Oh,
getting into a really crouched position, and we fear that your walking ability will eventually dissipate if we don't have this surgery. So at the age of 13, I went for my first operation over at Sick Kids Hospital, and the surgery is called a hip osteotomy, which is they take the hip bone, they break that, and then they break every single bone down the leg right to my tibia, on both sides. So it was about, I think it was a 13-hour surgery. Um, and I just remember, waking up and seeing both feet pointed right to the ceiling and just going, holy smokes, never thought this was ever possible. But the process of a surgery and just not knowing, there's that future uncertainty that was like, is this it? Like, do I have straight legs now? Do I have to go back to that physical aspect of not being in pain? And that was tough, and it was tough. And I just want to speak on this because it's so important. It's not just you go for a surgery and you go back to your life. There's that sense of rehabilitation. I was in a hospital for 4 months, and the transition from grade 7 to 8 was really tough. So it's the final year of grade 8, and um, I missed like a good 4 months of actual school. Now, Bloorview, the kids rehabilitation center I went to, they have a school authority there, which I'll speak about later because I've done some work with them.
right.
But it's that it was that transition of trying to get back into school with a walker, with a cane, and then missing all this homework, missing my friends. It's tough to go into a sense of isolation for a period of time to get better, and then and then try to just live your everyday life again. That was a huge challenge at a young age.
Support that you had growing up, obviously your friends, your family were a pillar of support for you. So that's helped you get through that transitional time from grade 8 into that, for everybody, that transition into high school. That must have been something for yourself.
Yeah, the transition to high school, I mean, it was a huge challenge. I was walking on 2 quad canes. And it's pretty funny. I remember I had a Twitter account at the time, and I don't know if you know the rapper 2 Chainz. I called myself 2 Canes for a little while, and that was flowing around the community. And yeah, it was a tough transition to go into high school, and you know, having to use the elevator. I remember our elevator being so slow. I was always late to class, trying to catch up. And you know, that gave me a sense that, you know, it was tough to just accept where I was in life, right? I always felt like I was trying to catch up, you know, having to be like everybody else, to gain my smarts back, and to, you know, just be, you know, to try to fit the shoe, even though, you know, the only shoes I had to fit were mine. But it seemed that there was other shoes to fit that were really non-existent. And you know, living up um, to 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 what standard? I mean, my standards were just fine. It was just my journey. Um, but see, that's something I didn't realize at the time. It was, you know, I had to be further along. I had to be exactly back where everybody else was, and that that's so much pressure to put on yourself as a young teenager, right? It's unbelievable.
Now, what sports did you play then as a form of recovery? You still played sports? You were active up until 12 when you had all these growth situations. What did you play after that?
So when I got out, so I ended up playing. I was a baseball pitcher up to my surgery when I was 13, and then so after that, I realized, well, you know what? I don't have the same mobility as I used to, even if my legs were not at their peak or not. I couldn't run anymore. I was in cross country as I was growing up and doing all that, but I couldn't be as active on my feet anymore. So I actually, when I was at the hospital in Bloorview, a gentleman by the name of Shane Smith, he's a Paralympic athlete, and I believe he plays rugby now. But at the time, he was a great wheelchair basketball player. This guy was moving at the speed of a car in that gym that one day. And we did an article actually called Passing the Torch with the Globe and Mail at the time. And I was part of that interview and article. And he taught to all the inpatient clients who were in the hospital at that time. They he decided that he was going to come in and do a demo. And I thought to myself, well, this is great. I mean, you can still play sports. And as it's been said in an organization, I used to be a part of the Cruisers organization, take a seat and compete. And I thought that was just so neat because it's such a great quote to broaden just, you know, how competitive parasports are. I ended up playing wheelchair basketball. When I left that hospital, I found the Cruisers organization. When I came back home into the community, I reached out to them and played in a basketball league in Brampton. And that's how I also found sledge hockey. They had all these other avenues of sports in their organization. Sledge hockey, I played goalie for a year. So I brought my goalie aspect back into my life from when I was 6 years old, which is awesome. And then I told myself, well, I kind of want to score some goals. I hate being scored on. So I'm gonna play out player for a year, see if I can put the biscuit in the net instead of having to stop it all the time. So that was a great experience. Very physical sport, just like hockey on actual skates, and you know, it's just so great just to how sport can bring everyone from standing to sitting together, and everyone has their own unique way of doing things. It's very inspiring, from the person who stands right to the person who sits down.
That's amazing. Then how did you transition into the game of golf then?
So golf, actually, and as I was mentioning, I didn't know if I could ever play a stand-up sport again. Well, voila, golf was the last sport that said, no, Kenny, we got your back. Like, We got a sport that you can still play on your feet. And very great, very grateful for a buddy of mine. His name's Joel Albany. He's the assistant professional over at Oslerbrook. But at the time, so I'll go back to when I was 13, Trafalgar Golf and Country Club, when it was private, it's owned by Golf North now. He brought me out for a couple of days of just hitting a ball, and I remember back from playing baseball and stuff, my hand-eye coordination was pretty good, and just how amazing it is now a ball's not moving at all and I can just hit it. that was the idea, right? It was just like, okay, it's right here, I can just hit it. So it was kind of like getting into that Vladdy Guerrero swing, right? Just having the ball down low and just hitting it and getting it up in the air. It was just such a calming, meditative sport for me. And having to just go at my own pace, I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I just had to worry about what I was doing, and that's amazing. That's amazing in a world where we move around so quickly and there's so much going on, to just take your place to a golf course where my ability is just fine. I can do things at my own pace and just go with it, and just have to worry about what's in front of me and what's ahead, not having to look at what's behind me.
So where's golf taking you now? What are you up to now, pal, in the sport of golf?
Golf is, I mean, a lot of people say golf is a sport or a passion, but for me, it's really created a really good lifestyle for me. Golf is, getting up early in the morning, making sure I eat well, making sure I have enough sleep the night before. It's bringing everyone together. I mean, as much as some of the tournaments I play in and stuff, it's all competitive. I mean, just the fellowship and the friendships I've been able to gain. It's more of a support system for each other as we go through our challenges, as much as it is competition. The game of golf has given me that sense of slowing down and just being with the moment, enjoying the trees in the distance, enjoying all the nature. It is such a meditative process that has really allowed me to just be who I am in my own unique way on a golf course. You can play a hole however you want. It's your style. It's whatever you want, and you don't have to have any standards. There's just so many ways to do it. You can putt right off the green, or you can flop it like Phil. It really doesn't matter what you do. It's your own unique way, and that's just the message of life right there. And for a sport to be able to do that for you, that's just how unique golf has made my entire life.
Dude, you just summed it up right there. I don't think I can put any more words on it. That is the epitome of golf, man. You just captured it right there. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is this something that you want to do as a career? Is it something that you want to pursue? What are you planning?
Yeah, so actually I was very grateful enough to be accepted to Humber College for the Professional Golf Management and Business Administration program. Mm-hmm. Great program. Andrew Vento, the program coordinator over there, does a fantastic job. Yeah, I'm looking to learn all the avenues of golf, the business behind it. I'm coming to realize that it's not just about playing golf. There's a lot of other stuff you got to do, and that's okay. I mean, being around the golf course, being at the golf course it's a sanctuary for me. Whether it's going to be sitting at a desk one day or it's going to be doing the operations, it doesn't matter. I mean, to me, there's no better place to work and be with people than at a golf course.
I'm telling you, your passion for the game of golf is just coming right through the screen, man. This is what TK Talks is all about. Sharing inspirational stories both on and off the golf course. Kenny, honestly, man, it was a pleasure meeting you, and I'm looking so forward to doing more stuff with you. We live pretty close, distance-wise. But I know you're going to be out there grinding it out on the golf course. I know you're going to be playing competitively. You're going to be a member of the PGA. Dude, man, thank you so much for your time today, pal.
Oh, thank you, Todd. It was a pleasure. And thank you for what you do. It's really inspiring as well.